In this episode, we're going to talk about this whole idea of loving yourself and how sometimes it can feel like pressure and why that might be and what we can do about it.
I'm Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music, and we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Are you feeling the pressure already?
I'm feeling the pressure already.
Goodness.
Okay, but before we get into that, I have to say, so whenever we are recording our podcast, well, me more than you, Toast.
Okay.
I always have my drink. So today I have my iced coffee, organic coffee with almond milk. And I love it so much. It's so good. So I'm fueled with that. But we are batching today. So instead of stopping for a whole meal, we have a bowl of snacks here. And I have to tell you, if you folks have a Trader Joe's near you, and I know there's issues with Trader Joe's. Okay, there are issues with Trader Joe's. I know it. If you don't want to support them, I totally understand you. Right now, for us, we still buy products from Trader Joe's. Okay,
I'm so ignorant about these issues, but okay.
But I understand the whole private labeling thing and whatnot. But I do think that Trader Joe's does serve us in a lot of ways. So, anyways, I don't want to start a whole big thing. But
okay.
If you don't mind shopping at Trader Joe's, and actually, we have 2 listeners that work at Trader Joe's. So I'll have to say yay.
Okay.
Yay.
All
okay.
Right. I'm just a person sitting back and waiting to see where you're going with this.
I know. Okay.
It's entertaining. Keep going.
So
keep going.
You must try their almonds with Thai chili lime spice. Oh, you guys, it's so good.
If you like lemongrass.
See, I said, okay, did you hear me say you guys?
You folks.
I said you guys.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to say that now.
Oh, God. Excuse me.
You're not supposed to say that. So anyways, but we're snacking on the Thai chili lime almonds right now, and they are so
But wait.
good.
Is that an appropriation of the Thai culture? Oh, God. Okay. We know there's those of you who know what we're talking about. All right. Okay, everybody just...
So I'm sorry. We love
this
Trader
is not a
Joe's.
political podcast.
We love the Thai chili almonds. They're just so good. But when you do eat them, I will give you a warning. I was eating them kind of in the dark. I mean, it wasn't like I was in a dark room.
You were hiding.
But it was kind of dim. And I was, at the last... little bits of almond pieces. And then there was this little dark sliver, and I'm like, oh, that's an almond. And I chewed it. And it was a chili. And I swear, that's the hottest thing I ever ate in my life, because normally I'm not eating chilies. But I chewed it, and then it was too late. And I was like, I already swallowed it.
You already swallowed it?
I mean, because I was chewing it, and it was kind of soft, but it's a dried chili, right? So it wasn't totally soft. And so my mouth, I have never felt that in my life, how burning my mouth was. And the water makes it just spread out.
Did your eyes just well up with tears and your nose
and I
start running?
Yeah, and I was coughing. Wow. I mean, it was horrific. Wow. And I felt like my tongue was a little burnt somehow.
It probably was. What is that? Acid? Some kind of...
I don't know. So just be careful when you're eating the little bits.
Now they're going to need to put a warning on the bag.
Yeah, maybe they should. I guess, really, the fact that it says the title has chili is your warning. So I don't think. Anyways. But it is delicious, and that is our snack right now for this podcast episode.
That's the
pressure to love yourself.
The theme snack for this episode is Thai, chili, lime almonds.
Okay. Right. So the topic for today, the pressure to love yourself, really was inspired actually by a comment that was left on one of our Instagram posts. And when they left that comment, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Yes, there is such a pressure to love yourself. There is. So I thought, Toast, let's talk a little bit about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's so human, and it's so, 2000s to have this pressure to love yourself, right? It's so self-helpy, and it's so amusing, but it's also sad how we humans can take even something as benign sounding as just loving yourself and turn it into this pressure cooker, and this thing that can almost turn into a sense of self-destruction. And here's why we end up in that situation. It's because we develop this distrust and this fear of the natural way of how things work. It reminds me of Wayne Dyer, who I remember him saying, hey, here's an observation, right? We just trust that for 9 months, somehow nature knows how to turn a little zygote into a full-blown human being. But then after 9 months, we stop trusting the process of nature, and we say, great job, God. Now we'll take it from here.
That's so true.
But that's so presumptuous of us to assume that, number one, it's on us to take it from here, and number two, that we have what it takes to take it from here.
Yeah.
And I think we actually all subconsciously, we know that we don't have 100% of what it takes to take it from here. And unfortunately, society tries to, I think, in large part, and I think the self-help industrial complex is part of it. A lot of times, I think what is preached as how to live life and the right way to do this and how to improve your life, I think it's so easily misunderstood to be, hey, just follow these 10 things and that's all you have to do to take it from here. You can do it. And it depends on how you interpret it and all of that. But yeah, so I think those things are at war with each other in a sense. Like the subconscious, very wise, infinite part of us knows that we do have to recognize our partnership with the infinite intelligence.
That is making the baby.
That is making the baby without us having to consciously orchestrate and dictate and direct everything.
But yet we do need to take action, like taking prenatal vitamins and eating well to nourish the baby. There are actions we need to take.
Right.
But we're not doing everything, obviously.
Right. And it doesn't help us to worry about, am I doing everything right? Like it's that beautiful partnership and that beautiful interactive dance of, yes, our conscious selves, we have a responsibility and we have a part to play. And we're going to talk about that right after this. But the infinite intelligence of nature has its part to play. And part of how we are good partners is in trusting that intelligence.
So true.
So what is our part to play?
Well, I wanted to kind of touch back on, when you're saying that inside we know that it isn't just all up to us. And maybe that's why we feel this pressure.
Okay. I had to interpret that. Because
you know what I mean?
I think
like the pressure
inside, we know that if it is all up to us, we're screwed. Because we don't have that.
Because we can't do that.
Because we don't have
all up to us.
Yeah, we don't have
so we know
the conscious access to all the intelligence needed. We have access to it, but not in a conscious way.
Well, I mean, I think you can, your relationship can be very conscious. your relationship with the divine can be very conscious.
Yes.
That part can be a conscious part of your life. But, I just want to make sure that people know that if you are feeling this pressure we're talking about, that it's normal. How could you not? Maybe there's some of you who don't feel it, and that's fantastic. To me, that says a lot about you and your relationship with your infinite part of yourself, with the divine, the actions you might be taking in your life. But I know I feel the pressure of self-love,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And so it's very normal to feel this pressure because culturally we're slammed with all this, that we're not loving ourselves enough, and that to take this and take that workshop and do all these things, and then you will end up loving yourself. And I think sometimes, you take all those things and then it's exciting and exhilarating and it's a dopamine hit when you're completing all those things. But you come out of it and you're like, oh, these old sneaky feelings of not loving myself are coming back up, and then and you can feel defeated. But I think it's very normal to feel that pressure. I think it's as human beings in this day and age.
Human beings who care, who give a rip.
Human beings who care. But self-love, to me, it's a lifelong process. We're always changing. Right. We're always growing. There's different levels of love we will feel about ourselves.
And what ourselves are is constantly changing and evolving too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We're always changing and growing. And so, you can reach a point of wonderful self-love and then you're changing and growing. And that's what allows you to change and grow too, is the love of yourself, to lean in that direction of self-love. So it's a process. It's a process. You're not going to be like, oh, check. Oh, I got this one done. Self-love.
Earned that
check
badge.
The box. Yeah.
Got my certificate.
Right. So how do we, live in this culture that is pushing all this self-love stuff? And it's true, we want to love ourselves. It's healthy to do that.
But do it in a healthy way.
But how do we survive in this without feeling badly about ourselves?
Right.
So something that we came up with that we think is probably just more productive and easy is, instead of focusing on this concept of self-love, instead of focusing on that and, I got to love myself more, to instead focus on actions that show self-love. So focus on those actions instead of worrying about, oh my God, I don't love myself enough, or oh my God, I got to love myself more, whatever it might be. So focus instead on the actions that show self-love. So one of the ways that you can start this is to really pay attention to when, where, or what activity makes you feel most at home or makes you feel the most like yourself. Like for me, an example of that is being with animals. That's where I'm the most vulnerable. All my walls just go down. I love animals so much. I feel so at home when I'm with them. So for me, an act of self-love would be to make sure that I am with animals, that I make time in my schedule to go to the farm sanctuary, to go down to Oregon Humane and look at all the animals there. The action may look like, I'm supporting these places. I'm donating money to these places. I'm going and giving love to these animals. And those things are true, but I'm getting so much in return, and it's such a way that I can show self-love for me, because when I'm there, I'm vibrating so easily on that frequency of love because I am loving the animals. If I am loving the animals, I am vibrating that frequency. So that's one way, is to pay attention to those activities or things you're doing that makes you feel most like yourself or makes you feel most at home. To really take note of that and make sure you're putting that in your calendar.
And that's the action, that you are taking that action.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that really shows. So for some people that might be writing, they feel the most at home when they're writing, when they're in their, cave, just writing their book or whatever it might be. Well, are you scheduling that in? Like, are you making sure you're doing that throughout your week? That's really important. And then, of course, there are the other more, more obvious things like eating well, exercising, having alone time, maybe taking tub baths feels very nurturing. So creating a list of what self-love means to you, the action steps that show that you are loving yourself, making a list, and then going back over the list and prioritizing. What are the top 3? What are the top 5? Depending on what the things are. And then the next step after making the list would be making sure it's in your calendar. Because I know, like, for instance, Toast and I, having scheduled our dates, there's a security there. You can kind of just like relax about it and not worry like, oh, we're going to not have ourselves in the calendar. No, we've already put ourselves in the calendar. So making sure you have these action steps of self-love, these actions of self-love in your calendar, you can relax and know that, okay, I have it all. I have it calendarized, and I know that sounds maybe cold, impersonal, like just putting it in the calendar, but seriously, are you going to do it if it's not in the calendar? You are so much more likely to do it if you put it in a time slot.
Right.
You really, really are. And the wonderful thing is that as you just start checking off these self-love actions, you're just going to start feeling so much better. And even just the knowledge of having it calendarized, knowing that you actually put yourself in your to-do list, just knowing that, you're going to feel better. You're just going to feel better. Your outlook's going to be better.
That in itself is an action.
Yeah.
That
it is.
A person who cares for themselves does.
It is.
So you start to do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would say if there are any listeners that are like, oh, I already did that already. I already have myself in the calendar. Then fantastic. I think that's great. So maybe for you, the next step might be to focus more consciously on your relationship with the infinite side of yourself or with God, whatever you want to call it, to put more focus there because you have your actions down, you're already doing it. So just make sure, because I think you can never really overdo your spiritual relationship.
Yeah.
You can't do too much of it. I don't think so. I mean, unless you're always in a hole and meditating and,
in
like
your meditation
only
hole.
doing, or cave.
Yeah. Or hovel. Lean
or
to.
room, your meditation room.
Yeah, it does come back. I think the whole, the pressure that we can manufacture for ourselves about, like, are we doing our self-love enough? It does come from a warped relationship with the infinite, right? If we don't have a healthy relationship with nature, the infinite, the divine, whatever you want to call it, if we don't have a balanced, healthy, reality-based relationship with that, then that's where I feel the pressure starts coming in, because then I feel like, oh, it's all on me.
Well, yes, but I would also say that I think you can have a healthy relationship with God and then still feel this pressure because of the external influences everywhere else.
Because of the other
can be
the
so
voices
strong.
for the other perspective that says, no, you are responsible for everything. Are you on it?
Hey, if you want to learn to love yourself, you gotta do all of this stuff, or you gotta
you have to post your spa visit on Instagram
or whatever it is. Yeah. I feel like those two things, like realizing that you have to do it all yourself, which is not correct,
right?
You
have to do your part
for
infinite yourself.
Side of you, that you are partnering with.
Yeah.
So there's that. but also the culture we live in now.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
and I think the
it's
culture we live
challenging.
in is part of the whole. I think it's the natural consequence of the scientific revolution taken to its extreme, which is, hey, we can control everything. We can figure out everything, and we can figure out that, you know, you put in this input, then you're going to get that output.
Yeah.
So if we can just figure out the correct input, then we'll get the output and results we want.
Yeah.
Instead of that sense of a beautiful, open, trusting, respectful relationship with nature, with the forces
Yeah.
that are out there. And I think what you're saying about calendarizing and all that stuff, like, that's the example of, this is our part in this partnership. Our part is to use our conscious brains and intelligence to calendarize things, to listen, and then to trust
Right.
as much as we can and repeat. Just that's our job, right? To calendarize, take action on it, listen, repeat. And then the part that's played and the responsibility of the infinite intelligence is to speak to us, to lead us, and to do the growing part, the part that makes the baby.
Yeah.
Right? That's its part. Like, there's a great saying I've heard, something to the effect of, like, man can plant the seeds, but God grows the plant. Something like that.
Yeah.
You know, so we have
'Cause
to,
how
we
does it
have,
grow? Yeah, how does
we
it
have
really
to do our
grow?
part,
Like,
right?
really?
And plant the seeds and all that, and
Right.
you know, keep the pests away or whatever, right? Like, do our part, but only God can grow the plant, and so we have to trust and respect that God grows the plant.
Yeah.
And recognize
You
that.
know, I will say, though, that I would just want to make sure everyone knows that. So with self-love, and if we're feeling this pressure, our suggestion is focusing on actions, you know, and getting them in your calendar, so it's not just up to your brain to remember, like, oh yeah, I said I was going to do. No, but just put it in your calendar, make it easy. Okay. But by no means are we saying that's the only way to cultivate more self-love for yourself. You
I
know,
think
we're
that's a
not-
very
we're not saying
straightforward
that.
starting point.
Absolutely.
Because it's much more
yes.
concrete and
Yes.
kind of a binary thing of, well, did you
Yes.
do it or not?
Yeah.
Right? Is it in your
there's so
calendar
many-
or not? It's very straightforward, as opposed to, well, just try to conjure up these feelings of loving yourself.
Right, which can be hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we have time? Should I share just a few other things to end with? Or
Sure.
Should we not?
Sure. Why don't you share that,
Why don't I
and
just
we'll
share a
wrap it
few
up.
things? Okay. So I mean, and the thing is like, if you just Google how to love yourself, I'm sure you're going to find like a million things out there. And here's what, there's so many resources out there. Okay. So we're not saying that all those things out there that are saying, hey, do these 10 things and you're going to love yourself, we're not knocking them in a way where, or they're not valuable. They have a value, but it's just realizing that loving yourself in its fullest way is it's a process, and you will always be working on that.
Yeah.
So some other ways that you can work on this is really creating being consistent with an affirmation practice, where it might not be, out loud. You don't have to be walking around out loud saying that you love yourself or anything like that.
Oh my God.
But one of the things with Louise Hay was to look in the mirror and to really, have you ever looked in the mirror at yourself?
Oh yeah, look yourself.
Look at
was
yourself in your eyes directly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, try doing that. There's
what?
something weird with that.
There is. There's something very
Yes.
creepy. When I must have been when I was in junior high or high school. I don't know why I did this. I was just a weirdo. But yeah, I would look at myself in the bathroom mirror like really closely and just look into my pupils, and I'd start to freak myself out.
Yeah.
Freaky.
And I think it's because what you're seeing, I think because you are tuning in with a part of you that sees you. And I think it can be unsettling because we're more powerful than we know, right? They say that.
Right.
And that there's a truth to that. So one of the things Louise Hay says is to have your affirmations and to really look at yourself in the eyes and tell yourself how much you love yourself. You know, you can have a Post-it by your, you know, on your bathroom mirror, like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to do that exercise or whatever it might be. It is very powerful. Like, it's not like, oh, everyone says that or, oh, whatever. It's very powerful. Another thing you can do is more meditation. I know everyone's like, oh, I got to meditate. I mean, but it doesn't have to be long, because meditation really is a time to listen for the infinite. You know, so if you just spend time listening, you are merging more consciously with that divine nature. And that in and of itself is a loving practice for you. And then the third one I will say is, if you have a hard time conjuring up like, oh, self-love and whatnot, you know, one thing you can do is to think of a time when you were a child that you felt the most happy, and think of, you know, so it might have been your, I don't know, 4th birthday party. You might have a very clear image of that. And when you look at that child so happy, you might even remember like what you were wearing, or you have pictures. It'd be very cool if you have that picture, because then you can, you can put it on your phone or put it in your bathroom or whatever it might be. But to remember that innocence as a child that wasn't thinking about self-love, right? And if you remember that child and you love that child, like you just love, like, oh, look at how cute I was. I was 4 years old, and I remember that time, and I was so happy because I remember at this birthday party, whatever, right? When you give love to a past part of yourself, the child part of yourself, you're going to find it's so much easier. It's so much easier to love
a child.
Yes. Yes. So if you can find a time when you felt happy as a child, that's also very powerful. So there's a lot of ways, but we thought we would lead with the actions, focusing on actions, because it's something you can do today, like right now, and it's easy, really. So,
okay.
We'll leave you all with that.
It'll be really interesting to see what the feedback is on this topic.
Okay.
You know, because, yeah, in the whole self-help, self-improvement, personal development, spiritual growth, industrial complex, this idea of loving yourself. And after a while, it can start to feel like, geez, so much pressure to do it.
I know.
So thanks to...
Plus, I think, too, it's like you think you're going to get there. Yes, because that's a finish line.
Yeah.
Like then I'm done.
Yeah, right.
I wipe my hands of that.
Look
like,
what I
okay,
did.
good. I'm done with that.
It. Yeah.
It's not like that.
No, and nature's not like that. Everything's in a cycle.
There is a cycle. Yes, and I think we talk about a cycle next
We're
podcast.
Always in a cycle. Okay.
All right.
So thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you.
Gave you some philosophy and all that stuff for you to think about. Until next time,
this is Sienna.
And this is Toast telling you, love life, live free, relax.